Alrighty, guys, it is Qaaman here today, and I'm bringing you another sports topic. But I am not alone, as I am joined with.
What is going on, everyone? James Krznaric is back here, ready to talk some more sports with Qaaman. What do we have? What kind of topic do we have queued up for them today?
Well, we are going to talk about the notorious Pro Bowl. Now,
Oh Lord, the Pro Bowl. Let's
yes,
begin.
and James and I both have very strong opinions on, the NFL Pro Bowl, if it's actually necessary or not. So in today's video, we're going to actually discuss if we personally think that the Pro Bowl should be, I guess you could say, an annual event in the NFL. And we're going to share opinions whether or not, it's actually suitable for the league based off of how it draws attention. So without wasting any more time, let's get straight into this video. So James, what are your thoughts?
I think that the Pro Bowl, for one, they need to ditch those horrible green and orange jerseys. I mean, those things. I mean, the NHL is doing the same thing now, and they're just so ugly. But that's the fashion person in me talking. The actual analyst, sports person in me thinks that the Pro Bowl was not a problem in the mid 2000s because for the longest time we had some really good games. There was like a 5 or 6 year stretch where all the games in the Pro Bowl were good. I mean, let's go back to. I'm just trying to think if I can find the one in particular I'm looking for.
Okay. Well, I mean, honestly though, James, the whole point is that, the Pro Bowl has been something that's been going on for a very, very, very long time. I mean, it dates back so long that it's kind of almost, I guess you could say, it's kind of almost impossible to just say it's going to be ditched because it's something that's just going to continue. But on the subject of whether or not it's actually good for the league, I kind of think that it actually is a good event, but I think that they should change some things about it.
Yeah, I mean, let's go back to when it was conference because in 2003 you had the NFC winning 55-52. In the AFC in 2004 you had them winning. The AFC won 38-27. 2005 the NFC won 23-17. These are the seasons that go with, not the year of the game. 2006 season the AFC won by a field goal. 2007 the NFC won by 12 points. I mean, there was a long period where the games were good, and even the last couple conference Pro Bowls, the NFC and AFC split the last four. So I like it better conference than unconference. Like having, Jerry Rice and Deion Sanders pick the teams. It's I just don't like the idea of it. I think that it kind of needs to be conference to be more organized. That's just how I feel because you don't have Eric Spoelstra and Greg Popovich picking their teams in the NBA All-Star Game.
Right.
You don't have Michelle Theron of the Canadiens and Daryl Sutter of the Kings picking the NHL All-Star Game. I mean, come on, it's better conference.
What do you think about this new thing that they did this year? And correct me if wrong. I believe this was the first year where, they actually had a draft where they took Andrew Luck and all of that. What do you honestly think about that process, though? Do you think it's fair?
They did it last year, and I thought it was stupid. I didn't even watch the Pro Bowl last year. I didn't watch the game because, again, the fact that they drafted the teams was just, when I heard that it was going to be Jerry Rice and Deion Sanders picking teams, I'm like, I don't like the idea of that because, again, I just think it's better to be conference. It is. I mean, a lot of people are going to be like, well, just let them have fun. But, you pick AFC and NFC rosters for a reason. Why are suddenly you ditching them? Because now all of a sudden you've got, let's try to think if I could do this. You have Ben Roethlisberger throwing the ball down the field to Calvin Johnson. I mean, it's just weird, I guess. It's conference. It's like a tiebreaker in a way from the Super Bowl.
Right. Well, James, if you actually look at the attendance, and I'm actually looking at it right now, the attendance has slightly gone down by about 1,000 people every single year over the last 3 years, dating from 2010. The attendance was about 49,300. Then it went down to 48,400. Then 47,100. So, as you see, there's been a constant decrease in the amount of people who are actually attending these games. And then last year was 47,270 in 2013. So slightly above what it was before, but as you can see, there has been a decrease from the consistent 50 to 51,000 people per year, and I'm talking strictly about the Hawaii Stadium. So,
with me, you touched on with the stadium thing, but I actually liked it when the stadium that was going to host the Super Bowl hosted the Pro Bowl. I like that. I like it a lot more than Hawaii because unless it's a cold weather city, like if you're going to have the Super Bowl in like Minnesota, I think Minnesota, once they get their new stadium, they're going to try to host the Super Bowl. If you're going to do it there, then just have the game in Hawaii. But like if you're going to have it in like Arizona or in Miami, Irving, Texas, something like along those lines, New Orleans, play the Pro Bowl there. But like if it's going to be up, I like the idea of it at the stadium, but again, it depends on the weather and where the city's located.
well, James, you might think this is kind of interesting, but I've actually always felt that Hawaii was actually a perfect destination because it's in absolutely neutral territory. Now, there have been some Pro Bowls that were in, random areas. Like, for example, they held it in Miami in 2009. But I mean, if you really look historically, they've for the most part been in Hawaii, and I think it's pretty solid. It kind of gives you like a vacation type atmosphere. But one thing that I felt the NFL was always inconsistent about was the actual timing of the Pro Bowl. Now, James, you probably remember a couple of years ago they actually held the Pro Bowl right before the Super Bowl, and then some years they held the Pro Bowl after the Super Bowl, and I've always felt that that was wrong. What do you think?
I think it is ridiculous to have the Pro Bowl between the conference championship games and the Super Bowl, and it's for this reason. The Pro Bowl, for one, you get your roster that's drafted, and looking at the roster this year, we're going to use this as an example because we had a hell of a lot of pullouts this year. All right, let's see who we got here. The rosters. Here's the list of players who are not playing. We have Tom Brady. I'm going through the list of players that are not playing due to the Super Bowl. Tom Brady, Marshawn Lynch. Who else? Rob Gronkowski, Bobby Wagner, Darrelle Revis, Richard Sherman, Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor, Stephen Gostkowski, and Matthew Slater. We're losing about 11 guys before we're losing 11 guys to the Super Bowl already because they can't play in the Pro Bowl than the Super Bowl. That's problem number one. Problem number two is you always get the guys who pull out. The AFC has lost so many quarterbacks due to pullouts in the Super Bowl that Andy Dalton is the third string, is the second AFC quarterback behind Andrew Luck. The other four from the NFC: Breeze, Ryan, Romo, and Stafford. How the hell is Andy Dalton in the Pro Bowl this year when he had such a statistically average year in a passing era? Like Stafford, I kind of get in a way.
Right, he's solid.
Yeah, Roethlisberger, Brady, and Manning all pulled out. Here's the thing about it: if you had the Pro Bowl right after the Super Bowl, you would not have this issue. You wouldn't have this issue.
It's like a fun game to actually close the season off.
Yeah, it's like a little bit of fun. Like, all right, you got the Super Bowl out of the way, you just get to go and have some fun. And the reason why I like it to be after the Super Bowl, but in the stadium of the Super Bowl, weather depending, is because there are certain players that don't want to put in the extra flyer miles. Because after the 2007-2008 season, when the Giants beat the Patriots in Super Bowl 42...
I love the fact that you said that. It sounds so wonderful to hear. Could you say it again for me, James? When the what?
When the New York Giants defeated the New England Patriots.
What a great thing to say.
That was such a beautiful game to watch. But anyways, as I recall, Osi Umenyiora was the Pro Bowl selection for the New York Giants. He flew to the Pro Bowl after the game was over because the game was in Arizona. He hung around for a couple days, and he skedaddled to Arizona. So he skedaddled to Hawaii because the Super Bowl was in Arizona and the game was in Hawaii, the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
Back in New York, a couple days after the Super Bowl, they had the Giants parade, and Osi Umenyiora didn't want to attend. So again, it just goes to show that not every one of these players is going to want to fly everywhere around the world, everywhere around the country, or even across the friggin' Pacific Ocean between the Super Bowl and after the Super Bowl. Like if you keep it, all right, let's put it this way: if the Pro Bowl was after the Super Bowl this year with the rosters that we had, I think that, well, for one, we'd have all the players from Seattle and New England. But another thing that would be interesting to do is it adds an interesting competitive element in that whenever you have the Pro Bowl, like right after the Super Bowl, you're going to get players who have never even tasted the Super Bowl in that locker room of the Super Bowl where it was held, and they're going to be like, wow, I kind of want to be back here. I kind of want to come to this. I want to come to the Super Bowl. I want to work harder. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
It's a competitive thing.
Right.
That's another reason why.
Well, I mean, one thing that you didn't mention that I'm sure you thought about was also injuries. I mean, we understand that in the Pro Bowl they play a lot softer, but injuries are still happening, especially in a sport like football. But one quick topic that I wanted to kind of post into this before we close this topic out is how would you compare and we're obviously going to do a topic on the All-Star game specifically, but how do you compare the Pro Bowl to the All-Star game in terms of how they're balanced or the way they portray stars?
I think the NBA All-Star Game does a tremendously better job.
How so?
Because when you have the NBA of the 4 sports leagues, I think is the league most driven by its stars.
Right.
And the reason why I say this is because in the NFL, you're going to get your guys that come along like a Richard Sherman, who doesn't start out a star and becomes an incredible player.
But it's mostly just quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's the thing. In the NBA, you've got everybody. Like, everybody who's a big name can be a star, and you use that to sell tickets and merchandise and whatnot. The NBA does a great job of promoting the game. I kind of wish that they, allow the players to play more in the game and not so much just kind of, run up scores.
Right.
Because, I mean, you and I kind of agree the NBA All-Star Game, the scores can kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, like 150-something points.
Yeah, that's kind of dumb. But, like, I kind of wish that they would do that, away with that, just actually have a competitive game where they're actually trying to beat each other, not just trying to be buddy-buddy.
Right.
Because it's in the middle of the season, you get a little bit of your flares out, you get a little bit of fun, then you just go back to what you were doing.
One other thing, though, that I wanted to point out about the NBA, James, that really differentiates itself is that not only is there the actual All-Star game, but they have those other events that are somewhat interesting and entertaining to watch, like the dunk contest, the three-point shooter, and I think that's something that also carries the All-Star game in the NBA versus the Pro Bowl, where it's just basically two teams going at each other. But I kind of like that both sports have a type of event where they put together, the best players per position, and I think it's really good for both leagues because it kind of gives players, who actually attend kind of like the feeling, hey, you did a great job, you were one of the best offensive linemen, one of the best tight ends, you deserve to play here. And I just think that putting it right before the Super Bowl is almost ridiculous because I mean, quite honestly, most people who are anticipating the Super Bowl don't even really watch the actual Pro Bowl. Like, they don't take it seriously. Like, whatever, just some weak game where they're not going to play hard.
Like, the Pro Bowl has such a half-assed feel to it, it's not even funny.
And now that they're, like, drafting players with Deion Sanders, like, I understand Deion Sanders was one of the, the greatest cornerbacks of all time. I'm not taking anything away from him, but to have him, like, picking players, like, seriously, like, you should be able to go in based off of how you think you perform, This whole building super teams is just completely ridiculous in my opinion. And I just think that, honestly, at the end of the day, James, I do think the Pro Bowl should stay. I think it's something that's annual. I think it's deserving for the players, but it should definitely take place after the Super Bowl, and they should also have a different system in kind of, I don't want to use the word force, but kind of making it more allocated for, I guess you could say, stars to go and play, like more motivational. Give them something out of it, because the Pro Bowl MVP, like, hey guys, I was the best player in a Pro Bowl where essentially nobody was really playing hard and, not really playing much defense. Like, really, I don't know. That's just my honest opinion. James, what's your final output?
Move the Pro Bowl to after the Super Bowl. Keep it, if you can, without the weather being a pain in the ass, in the same location as the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Also, my final one is no team drafts, just AFC, NFC, conference. Let them go head-to-head. And kind of allow the players to be more open and do what they want to do on the field and kind of just at least keep the game. Don't get rid of the Pro Bowl because that's not going to solve anything.
Right. Well, James, at the end of the day, it seems like me and you are pretty much in agreement with each other. The only difference is I actually agree I actually disagree that with the whole keeping it in the same arena as the Super Bowl. I personally think that Hawaii is a perfect neutral territory that gives you a vacation-esque atmosphere, but honestly, it's really up for interpretation, and I honestly think that the Pro Bowl is a great idea, but it just can definitely be executed much better. And that's essentially my opinion. Do you have anything else you'd like to say?
I'm good for now, my friend.
All right. So thank you guys for watching this Pro Bowl video. Tell us what you think in the comment section below, whether or not you think the Pro Bowl is a necessary event. And also check out James' channel too. He also does sports on the NBA, the NFL, and other sports. So also check him out. I'll leave a link to his channel in the description. But most importantly, over everything else, please remember to what, James?
Rate, comment, and subscribe. And remember, at the end of every single one of Qaaman's videos, he says to have not just a good, not just a great, but to have a fan-friggin-tastic day, guys.
Take care, everyone.